Former Secretary of State and United States Senator appeared on Mornings with Zerlina. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. A woman who was at one point considered by at least some to be one of the most powerful people in the world.
You lose one presidential race and it's all downhill from there.
Just made an appearance on a show called Mornings with Zerlina on Sirius XM, where she discussed what she saw as the authoritarian threat of Trump. That's right, because that's what Trump's going to do. I love how the Democrats' main argument against Trump is now because they cannot make an argument that Joe Biden has done a better job as president, not any rational argument. I see some lying about the state of the economy, but we know that they're lying. The economy is not performing as well as it could. Our energy sector is sadly underperforming. Our manufacturing sector, underperforming. Our trade imbalance with China, growing. Southern border, porous. I mean, on and on it goes. Joe Biden's presidency, by any metric, has been an absolute disaster. So you will not see octogenarian or thereabouts Democrats running around touting the abilities or touting the victories of the Biden administration. Instead, they're going to talk negatively about Donald Trump and how he's an authoritarian, and if he ever gets power, he's not going to release it. Which is amusing because he was president before, and he did release power before.
And they were making that same claim back then.
And they were making the same claim then, that if Donald Trump becomes president, he's going to be an authoritarian, and he's going to do blah, 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 and he's never going to give up power, and all the military is going to be at his side, and he's going to stay in the White House. And none of it ever happened. None of it. I mean, Hilary Clinton at one point, she could snap her fingers and I'd keel over dead, right? She was like Thanos in that movie. Whatever that was. What was that? Am I saying that right, Bell?
It's Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War.
Am I saying that right, though? He snapped his fingers and like people keeled over dead, right? It wasn't Spider-Man, he keel over dead?
Half the heroes killed over dead, yes.
Okay. You're not going to tell me which half? You don't want to ruin it for anyone? What?
I don't have that list right in front of me right now.
Iron Man, he keel over dead?
Nope.
He made it through?
Yep. Till the end of Infinity War when he committed suicide stopping Thanos. Spoiler alert.
How dare you? I was going to watch it this weekend.
You weren't.
I was going to start from the beginning. So Hillary Clinton, who could snap her fingers, and, there goes Vince Foster, says people need to, quote, accept the reality that Joe Biden is old. What? So apparently on her visit on this radio show, Mornings with Zerlina, which if I had been a more industrious and motivated talk show host, I probably would have found this audio somewhere, but I'm not. She said, somebody said to me the other day, well, but Joe Biden's old. And I said, you know what? Joe Biden is old. Let's go ahead and accept the reality. Joe Biden's old. So we have a contest between one candidate who's old, but who's done an effective job and doesn't threaten our democracy. And we have another candidate who's old, barely makes sense when he talks, is dangerous and threatens our democracy.
Which party was talking about how evil old white men are, though?
So I'm curious, who is this reaching outside of their most dyed-in-the-wool? I mean, the 20% that would vote for a scorpion over a Republican. Who are you trying to reach with this nonsense? These individuals, through Trump derangement syndrome, have driven themselves absolutely insane, with this belief or suggestion of belief that if Donald Trump retains power, he's going to try to keep it somehow. They also have no other response, and no one that watches the two individuals with any rational sense would make the argument that Donald Trump is on the same mental plane as Joe Biden. Now, I understand that Donald Trump rambles. I understand that Donald Trump does not have a speech when he walks up to a podium at a rally and talks for an hour and a half. And sometimes, particularly when I was worried about his victory in 2016, and even beyond, sometimes it becomes a little cringy because you never know where the man's going. But here's what he does do. He goes to a rally, and he walks up to a microphone, and without essentially any prepared remarks, he talks to the crowd for an hour and a half about issues affecting the United States of America, and sometimes longer. It is sad to think that the only refuge the Democrats have with regard to Joe Biden's age and infirmity is the idea that, well, yeah, but Donald Trump is old too. When anyone contrasting the abilities of Joe Biden and what we see with Joe Biden on a daily basis and what we see with Donald Trump on a daily basis, I would suggest that Donald Trump, what is he, 77? 70s. I think he's 4 years younger than Biden, and Biden's 81. I think that's about right. At the age of 77, Donald Trump has more energy than most 50-year-olds. He's constantly on the go and drinks no caffeine, apparently. In the meantime, you contrast that with Joe Biden, who is seen at best 10 minutes on a daily basis, who has to have note cards to get through private meetings with one or two or three people because he can't keep up with one or two or three people on an issue that he's supposed to know everything about, right? I mean, he goes into these meetings to talk about particular things, singular things, and he cannot keep up with that meeting or those people without having note cards at his side. That's the leader of the free world, we're told. And all Hilary Clinton has to say about it is, oh, yeah, well, he's old too, and we just have to accept the reality that Joe's old. I don't think the Democrats are accepting any of this. As a matter of fact, what Hillary's reflecting on is a recent poll. A majority of Americans who voted for President Joe Biden in 2020 are now saying his age prevents him from being an effective president, according to a New York Times poll. Now, I'm not normally a poll guy, because polling as a snapshot in time is just that, a snapshot in time. It can change rapidly. And I don't believe that there's necessarily any benefit for us taking a general election poll in March. I just don't. Because you got April, you got May, you got June, you got July, you got August. I mean, so many things can change between now and the general election. However, this poll is interesting to me because, A, it comes from the New York Times. Obviously, it is a leftist organization. B, 61% of 2020 Biden voters, these are not just registered voters, and there are no Republicans here. 2020 Biden voters surveyed, 61% told pollsters the current president is old enough that he can no longer do the job. 19% of those who supported him 4 years ago said he's too old to hold the position at all. 13% of respondents who plan to vote for Joe Biden in November believe the same way. You want to talk about an age problem. 45% of registered voters think Joe Biden's age is such a problem that he is not capable of handling the job of president of the United States. 45% of registered voters believe that.
Did you see the clip of reporters asking him about that poll?
I did not.
And he was talking about supposedly 5 other polls were saying that he was winning. And he said to the reporters, you guys need to stop reading the New York Times.
He told them that?
He told them that.
Okay.